Are we sharing?
Yes, and I guess hi.
Hello.
Hello, everybody.
I was just gonna say maybe you could just have this one.
You don't want the you don't want any of this one?
Can you? I forgot what it tastes like. Let me try it again.
All right. So
But you-
today we are drinking two collaborations.
Por-
This one is between Two Crows Brewing Company and Kilter Brewing, out of somewhere, wherever somewhere is. It's very strong beer, but not as strong as some of the other beers that we've had. This is Hawaiian Ivory. I guess I'm going to be drinking this one alone,
Well,
but Siggy obviously wants to try it.
I don't remember what it tastes like, but I remember not being a fan initially.
Yes,
And also, you drink your beers faster than me.
much faster,
Mhm.
much faster. Okay, so this is a milkshake IPA. You know, with all that fun, flavorful stuff of coconut, mango, pineapple, banana, and lime. Our friend told us the lime definitely comes through. So
Is the lime in the coconut?
It literally lime and coconuts. Pineapple.
Here, let me pour myself some, and then you have the rest, and then that's how it'll work. Oh shit! Where's the cloth? There.
Okay, there we go. This probably should have been shaken up a little bit.
You opened it. I
I
didn't.
did. It's my mistake.
I just
and I will
poured.
share it. Oh, this is the wrong glass.
Well, I thought you liked the big glasses.
I do for full beers.
I only took a little. You're having a full beer.
Yeah, but this one, the reason I bought new ones is because this one didn't fill.
The other ones were dirty.
So this is our Hawaiian Ivory Pineapple Banana Beer Lime. Two Crows Brewing and Kilter Brewing. Fun Hawaiian adventure beer. So I can get that in there. Yeah. Look.
And we're so poor, and yet we still will do
Well, this was shipped to us.
That's true.
This is not a beer we purchased offhand. This is a beer that was shipped to us from other parts of the world.
Well,
Cheers.
cheers.
All that sediment.
Did I ever tell you the story of how cheersing? I probably have.
I'm
Why?
pretty sure I told you the story of how cheersing.
No. Why do you take credit for everything?
Because it's this specifically is something I know about.
Yes,
Because
and
it's-
I've
it's one
known
of
for a
those
long
men
time,
things.
and you've known me for a long time. So
But
I
I've
could
known
have
about
given...
that longer.
No, you haven't.
Since high school.
No.
Since high school.
Well, anyways, it could be a myth. Are we sure that the story is true?
Everything I've ever looked up on it is backing it up.
So the story is that the reason people start cheersing is so that you're supposed to do it hard enough where some of your drink goes into the other person's and the other person's goes into your drink, and then you both drink at the same time. So if someone's drink was poisoned, it was like a way of protect. But then again, like a small amount of poison, would that really be detected? Like if you really wanted to kill someone,
This
just
is
one,
not during the time of poison values.
but like there has to be some logic to that of like to
Sure,
kill
just
someone
like
through.
handshakes were originally designed to be able to check people for hidden weapons. It's I trust you and I can check you for hidden weapons.
Yeah, I don't like this one. Yeah.
Okay, this is mine now.
So that one's way too bitter.
It's not bitter at all. It's actually quite sour.
It's so bitter, or sour, bitter. Blech.
Fine. So we'll start Siggy off with IPA number 5. Another collaboration by two
Like Chanel
Ontario
number
brewers.
5, but
No.
not.
It's the artsy beer because they like to put artwork on their beer. I can get it in there. Like put all kinds of artwork and crap on their beer. But it's IPA number 5.
I know this fact because I remember there used to be a cool fact app actually that was good conversation starters. But this is always such
not
a...
gonna tell people about the beer before we start chugging
It's
it.
yummy. It's called number 5, and he just showed it to you. And
What does it say on it?
oh my
it's
god!
a New England.
New England style double IPA with Citra and Simone hops. 8.2% alcohol, peeps.
8.2. That's a strong beer. But it's also a really good beer. It was
good.
also recommended to us by the same friend that shipped this stuff to us. And yeah, it's really good. It's, well, I don't know. I guess when I get around to drinking it, I'll describe it.
Anyways, cheers again. So yeah, it's a
Cheers.
good conversation starter.
The app or the beer?
That fact.
That there's an app for conversation starting?
No, the switching of the poison. But I'm just saying, it's really not an efficient. If it is true, it's really not an efficient way. Because you would probably have to drink a lot of poison, so you probably would have to drink the whole thing to fully be poisoned and smashing your
This
glasses.
stuff comes from the time before Kings had poison tasters. Did you hear about that one?
Yes.
Kings used to have people that used to taste their food to make sure it wasn't poisoned.
They also thought it was rude to have your elbows. You couldn't have your elbows past the table. So their dirty swords that they used to murder people earlier that day with, they would use to, pick things off of the
that
table.
did not happen. That's literally why they had servants. Servants would bring you your food. That's why you're not supposed to go and reach across the table. That's rude. You're supposed to have your servants reach across the table
So
to hand you your food.
that's a made-up fact?
That's not a made-up fact. It's a fact. You're never supposed to have your elbows go past the table. Your servants are supposed to get it for you.
Oh.
Because people that care about that kind of crap.
Oh, that makes so much more sense.
There you go. Made up facts.
Huh.
So,
And human behavior has nothing to do with evolution and like virtue signaling and status.
Hold on.
Something like so simple as how you eat at the table is a reflection of your class and status in society.
of course, some people eat with a fork and knife. Some people eat with 10 forks and knives. Have you ever had anyone tell you the difference between a dessert fork and a regular fork?
Yeah, a dessert fork is smaller.
Okay, what about the other 4 forks that they put down in
One's a
front of you?
salad fork, one's a meat
No,
fork.
no. See, I don't know. A fork's a fork. A fork has the purpose of forking things. Anyway, before we get into forking things, I would like to explain why we're 2 weeks late on our podcast. So the week before the last one, when number 12 was supposed to come out, Siggy was in Toronto, so we couldn't do it, which is okay because we were supposed to catch up to it. So when she came back, we did one on guns because that's all anyone wanted to talk about was guns and more guns and always with more guns. I'm also live streaming mostly Borderlands right now, so I'm also mostly just talking about guns. And then the computer decided to restart itself. And we lost our audio and we lost our mojo for that day. It was 40 minutes in. Just restarted. I think I lost most of the video. I haven't really gone back and checked. And we still have the audio, so I might upload it as a short somewhere. But chances are that we
Well,
won't.
I just think I keep saying I just want to go into honestly like practicing having these arguments with people, which is why I really want to do a live stream about it because everyone keeps coming to me wanting to argue about this stuff, and I want to like go through all of these leftist points and really learn and like go through why they're wrong because I don't necessarily have all the information.
The
So
American
hopefully-
version of why they're wrong is always the same. It's because of the Constitution. I think the best argument I saw earlier, just earlier today, is when liberals ask you why should you have your gun, you just respond with why should have Rosa Parks been able to sit in the front of the bus? Your rights are not debatable.
Okay,
and it's your choice whether you want to exercise them or not.
I would like to go through all of the leftist arguments against the Constitution and address that. But I don't want to. Really don't want to talk about guns right now. I want to do a live stream on it with a few people because that's how you actually get to the root. Me and you is like redundant. We've had this conversation.
We haven't had this conversation enough, according to me, but we'll keep it up for debate. I
Like,
guess.
there's nothing new
If
that
anyone
we can
is
offer.
actually interested in having the conversation on a live stream where we tackle most of the left's points on guns and would like to debate them, feel free.
And debunk them, kind of. I
Yes.
want a debunking of debunking.
It's not debunking. It's okay. They simply say shit like the Constitution is old and archaic. It didn't account for most of what today is. That is a fact that it didn't account for what most of today is and will be, and that doesn't account for all the bullshit that they want today to become. And
So I'd like us to have a
a lot of what the
conversation about it.
Constitution is stopping is them turning places into shitholes. And so literally destroying the foundations of what the country is. The Constitution is standing in their way of destroying the country. So they need to destroy the Constitution. That's the American version of it. We in Canada don't have a constitution. We don't have anything that
Well, I
solidifies
mean,
our
other
rule,
countries don't have this
except for
either. So
apparently
I
the
would just
Queen of England.
like, you know, England doesn't have the right to but then we can like, this is why I feel like this is a conversation that like I would like to go through with a variety.
Okay, but England is also kind of falling apart. I
Yeah.
can really taste the lime now. Not bitter. Still not bitter. Like, we are a queen monarch. What are we? We're a.
I guess America is the least of the socialist nations of most of them, and it has the right to bear arms more than the other ones. But I don't know, like I don't know. I really don't want to talk about this now. Can we talk about something different?
Sure. Let's talk about the Oscars.
Why neither of us watched it?
And that's the best part. Neither one of us has watched the Oscars. If anyone else has watched the Oscars, fuck you. The Oscars are all about super rich billionaires, millionaires giving each other golden statues about, pats on the back of great achievement of trying to act for a couple of months of the year for hundreds of millions of dollars.
Mm-hmm.
I don't give a shit about the Oscars. Siggy can attest to this. Every year when people are like, let's have an Oscar party, I go, fuck you all.
It's an excuse to get together and drink.
No,
That's
okay,
all
so
the
no
Oscars
one,
is.
look, this is an excuse to get together and drink. Look, guys, we're getting together and drinking.
Well, I can understand if you are a fan of movies, and we are movie fans, why the Oscars could be something that's...
Okay, I'm going to rewind this to like five podcasts ago when you said all movies suck. Just all movies are garbage now.
No,
They all
I
suck.
said all recent movies in the past 5 to 10 years. But not all movies. We went through a lot of movies that I love, and there's plenty more.
Right,
And
but-
I've decided I might start giving movies a second chance. I reflected after that podcast, and I'm realizing that there is a reason why I have an inclination towards TV shows more than movies, because TV shows allow me to multitask. They build character development more. And it's just, like you can, I don't know, you can just kind of, it's either shorter episodes, so like you don't have to sit down for 2.5 hours, even though usually you end up watching 3 or 4 episodes, which is the equivalent of watching a movie. But I don't know. I feel like television shows end up being less of a waste of time than a movie can really end up being
Except
a waste
for
of time.
Lost was the biggest waste of time.
I still enjoyed some of that movie. So.
Sure. But the enjoyment was the anticipation of what was to come.
No, the characters were good too. They had good characters.
That ended up going nowhere.
Right,
The
which is
problem
why it was disappointing.
It's the anticipation. It is the getting ready for. It is the seeing where this goes. And then the seeing where this goes led to nothing. It literally led to nothing. It's like Game of Thrones. It's going to lead you somewhere, and then last season is just going to be garbage.
I feel like that's what's going to happen with Game of Thrones.
Oh, who's going to be happy with the way Game of Thrones is going to end
I don't
out?
think anyone, though. Yeah, I mean, Lost, like, it couldn't... They hadn't... There was no way out. Like, where could it have gone to
Anywhere?
be... Like
anywhere.
what
Anywhere
would
but
have been
that.
the best explanation for the island?
Do you know what would have been the worst explanation for the island?
Although the parallel universe thing was good.
It
He
was
should have
garbage.
just
It was
gone with
trash.
that.
It didn't make any sense. It still
No,
doesn't make
they
any
had
sense.
the Faraday guy in there. Remember Daniel Faraday? Like, they brought it in a few seasons to bring
Not
the parallel.
even close.
And why does it worked with? And I guess Fringe was J.J. Abrams. Clearly, he was going in a certain direction with
but
that
the
parallel.
last 2 seasons of Fringe were complete garbage too.
I liked Fringe.
I understand you liked Fringe, and I liked Fringe up until the last 2 seasons where it became trash.
Well, no, because they answered the questions better than Lost did. They answered what the observers were, and they looped it back.
Which was a shitty answer.
I liked it, and they and I liked how that in the second last season really sucked, but the last season where they
2 seasons.
re-replicated.
The last 2 seasons were garbage.
Oh my God! Can you let me finish?
Sure.
in the last season where they replicated some of the original episodes and then tied it all together to like the first season, it could have been better, but he still tied the overall arcing storyline together, answered most of the questions, and made it relevant to what had happened in the earlier
It's the
seasons.
answers to his questions that are garbage. He set up a really interesting premise. He went with a whole lot of things. He tackled a lot of really cool experiments from the past, and then he just pooped on it.
But
He
like,
just,
tell
put
me a
the
twist that's
plot-
actually good. Then, like, tell me like how an example of a question, like what could have been the answer? Like, what could have been
Did
the
you not
island?
watch the X-Files?
The X-Files is still going on, and is still. You think the
No,
X-Files
no.
wrapped
The
up
X-Files,
well?
the X-Files are not still going on. I'm sorry, you take that goddamn back right now. The X-Files were over like 10 years ago, and they will never come
Okay,
back.
fine. Then not the new season.
And whatever the
Okay.
hell is happening in the new season is not worth my goddamn time. Mulder and Scully have an alien baby, and now Mulder has to start moldering again. And
No, but okay,
that is fundamentally not what I came to watch the X-Files for.
Okay, wait. And so, just the original running of the X-Files. Okay, so tell me how why that story wrapped up well.
Because it was the epitome of the X-Files. It was all left to a mystery. Everything was up in the air. There
What
was always a
mystery was
question.
solved?
What mystery was solved? Every episode there was a mystery that was partially
Right,
solved.
but like the Lost wasn't an episodic based show.
No, but Lost
X-Files
literally had
was.
nothing. Lost's mystery was, oh my god, what is that giant dinosaur sound coming from the forest shaking the trees? And then in the next episode, it was a smoke monster that made no noise and didn't affect the trees. That's why Lost is garbage.
Excuse me. Okay.
Do you
what
remember?
was like the mystery there's no like overarching mystery in X-Files.
Don't move aside. Don't sidestep that point. It was supposed to be a giant monster walking through the jungle, shaking the land and moving trees apart. An episode later, it was a smoke monster. A couple of episodes later, it wasn't a smoke monster. It was somebody's soul from Supernatural. And then after it became someone's soul from demon from Supernatural, it possessed a dead body. And then it turned out it was actually the epitome of evil altogether. And yet the epitome of evil was helping the Lost crew solve their fucking Scooby-Doo mysteries for like 3 seasons.
Okay. The smoke monster was introduced in like the second or third season.
Episode.
Okay, so
It
but
was
you were saying
introduced
Lost was
in
good
the
until
first
the end.
No, it was introduced in the first episode. That revealed that it was a smoke monster, not a giant dinosaur King Kong, was in the 3rd or 4th episode. And then everything else after that just didn't make any sense. Everything.
So you think the whole show sucked?
Yes.
Even the first few seasons?
Do you remember when they made the island teleport? Okay, do you remember when Ben got everyone to that one point?
Ben was so good.
Yeah, and he cranked the giant wheel, and then they made the island teleport somewhere else. So the evil corporation can't monetize and build, what's it called? The Jurassic Park island on it. Remember the Jurassic Park theme park? They were like, oh, we're going to come and study all the weird
the Dharma Initiative.
Okay, do you remember the polar bear? The polar bear was like a great mystery from like episode 3. From episode 3, they're like, oh my god, how did the polar bear get here?
The idea...
And then, how did the polar bear get there?
How did the polar bear get there?
It was brought there by the Dharma Initiative in
Oh,
a cage like 40 years ago. How it's still alive?
Right, because
Nobody
it was
knows.
like but the whole mystery. They answered all those things though. Like the first few seasons was good, seeing the Dharma Initiative and that there was like a whole civilization, who the others were, like all of that was awesome.
Who are the others?
They were the people from the Dharma Initiative later. Yeah.
Or
and then Ben was the other, Ben and Julie. They had good characters. It was an engaging show. The last 2 seasons was disappointing, and I don't know how they could, like, I still can't come up with a better idea of like how an overall solving of mystery could have been. What could it, like everything that they built though, everything that happens on the island.
A teleporting supernatural island with the literal epitome of good and evil battling out the faith of humanity on it. And then what they said was, oh yeah, remember all of that good and evil fight and commentary on human existence? Forget about it.
Everything.
No. Shh. Forget about that whole fight of good and evil and traveling from one place to another to collect people for experimentation on the
That
human
was
psyche.
cool.
Shh, shh. Forget about that. What this actually was it was purgatory, and none of that matters.
No, that's what sucked. That was what sucked. They
Yes,
should have
yes.
made it like this whole.
Literally, the worst
Which
thing.
is-
No,
they-
listen.
Oh my god, when is it my turn to talk?
When I'm done talking.
You're never done talking.
I'm literally talking less than you. The point was that the show had a good thing running, and they could have ended it after Jack and Sawyer and Kate died. They could have just ended it. It could have ended with Jack's sacrifice, Sawyer fucking being mopey somewhere else, and Kate dying on their way back. Hurley goes on to become a multi-billionaire because of the peanut butter industry or whatever, and that's it. The show would have ended. And
Well,
it would have been fine.
that's
It
what
would
I
have
was
been-
gonna say.
It would have been fine. They ruined it by saying, "Forget that. It was all a semi-hallucinogenic dream of no one. It's no one. It's nothing. It's nothing."
They could have played with the idea of like the Bermuda Triangle and even like the lost, okay, just let me experiment with this. Like the Atlantis kind of idea of like this place that can't be found but exists, and everything up until like the last season where Kate, Jack, Sawyer, and Jin, and who is the fifth person? Hurley? No, who was?
Saeed?
No,
Who are you talking
Saeed
about?
stays on the island. Who are the five that may actually get off the island and go back to the real world? And they take they take Claire's baby. Kate takes Claire's baby. Kate, Jack, Sawyer, and Jin, and another person, and I forget who it's John Locke and John Locke. They're the five people who end up going back. They get off the
I
island.
thought
Remember?
John Locke couldn't go back. Oh,
Well,
no,
then there was
they
two
need,
John
They need
Locks.
to bring him back so that evil can possess his
Right,
body.
right. They had to bring John. Yeah, and that was the whole like everything up until that season was so good. And then they should have just had it where they five somehow managed the island, or they never end up finding the island. Like that would have actually been a better way to end the show.
Sure, or they could have just not left the island. When they went out with the stupid compass on the stupid sailboat, and Sawyer has to sacrifice himself to destroy the giant destroyer that was going to prevent them from leaving the island because the new corporation showed up.
Or yeah, they should have just gone back to the island and been like, fuck it, real world sucks. The island was so much more awesome. There was beautiful beaches, great weather. They had everything they needed.
You clearly don't understand how the island works. None of that. Okay, also, the island did say they'll be back. The island always promised them that they'll be back. And remember, they can't die. They can't die. The whole point was they couldn't die unless the island wanted them to die, and they'll always come back. Except for John Locke. He died for some reason.
Fucking J.J. Abrams literally said
He's
in the
literally the
first
worst.
few
He's the worst.
years that I promise you, I
stop yelling.
promise you,
Stop yelling.
it's not purgatory.
Everyone lies.
He
Everyone lies.
promised. Ah.
Everyone lies. He
Okay,
didn't
but
know what
tell
to
me
do.
a show that actually ended well for you then.
Battlestar Galactica.
Oh, that show is awesome. They find Earth, yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, they find Earth and then they just keep going.
Yeah, see, like that show kind of ruined movies for me, especially sci-fi movies, because no matter what concept that any of these sci-fi shows go on, except for Westworld. Westworld is really
Westworld's not over yet.
Well, okay, see now Westworld is good at also doing the same thing,
Westworld
building
isn't
mysteries.
over yet. They
So
can
you
keep
think Game of Thrones is gonna
Westworld
disappoint?
did not build a mystery. Westworld gave you a theme park where you can rape and murder robots. By the way, I'm not calling spoilers this episode. This isn't what this episode's about. This is about shitting on Hollywood. Westworld literally gave you an idea for a theme park and told you nothing about the real world. For the fraction of a second that they did talk about the real world, it was boring, and there's nothing happening there. The fact that the robots wanted out into the real world didn't even give us a reason for us to want them out there or a reason to stop them. They only built one side of the suspense. It's that whether you're going to get out of the Matrix or not. Not what happens after you get out of the Matrix.
Well, that's how we're gonna have to see where they takes the next step.
They already know where the next step is, right? They already introduced just whatever Japanese world or samurai world or whatever, and something else and something else. And it's like, oh, there's lots of theme parks. You might escape
Kind of
Westworld.
reminded me of Cabin in the Woods.
You might escape Westworld, but you know what? You're gonna have to go into hiding of Japanese samurai warrior world until you can make your way out of that one. And they're just interlaying mysteries and hints. Like, how the hell did she get out? by following a series of abstract clues that somebody put in at some point, like 40 years ago, and put into the programming. They've written themselves into a corner. Literally, the
So
guy.
you think that show's gonna is
Oh, of
hype
course,
up
it's gonna be
too?
shit. It's gonna be shit. Next season's gonna be garbage. They
Okay.
peaked out because literally the guy who set up everything that was going to happen got shot in the head in the last episode. Spoilers.
Okay, let's go back to X Files
but
for
I'm serious.
a sec.
I'm serious. He set everything up.
Okay, that's your
And
prediction.
everything was executed according to his plan. Now he's dead. The only thing they can do is write him in again. Just literally be like, oh, okay, so what's gonna happen? Like my predictions for Westworld is that they find out later on everyone's a robot. There's not a single person that's not human.
That
anymore.
would be so predictable, though.
But whether we watch, oh shit, you haven't started watching Altered Carbon with me.
Oh yeah, no, my sister keeps saying we should watch that show, so we'll try that. Just can you hold on for a second? Okay, let's go back to X Files for a sec, because you still didn't originally answer my. So like there was the whole thing of who the Cancer Man was, and like the whole Illuminati like kind of conspiracy thing.
Yes.
So like that was like the overall kind of theme in X Files, but there was no huge like every episode was. It was an episodic show that connected all the seasons together,
Yes.
but there was no like overarching mystery the way there was with Lost, like what the island is,
Yes,
where
there
did they
was.
go?
Yes, there was.
What
There
was it?
One from episode 1. It's I want to believe our aliens real. From episode 1 to the end of the goddamn show, you're still not sure whether the aliens are real or if it's a government project meant to make you think that
Oh,
aliens
right,
are real.
because that's the thing is whether it was a government project.
Yes. It's either the government is faking alien abductions to perform human experiments on people while also pushing the agenda
Oh,
for
yeah.
genetic modification, or it's actually aliens doing it, or it's the combination of both. And you're left with that mystery the entire time you're watching the show. Sometimes they touched upon it, sometimes they didn't.
Yeah, and that's who the yeah, you don't know.
What happened at the end of the show?
You still don't know,
Is
actually.
Scully pregnant? Is the
No,
alien baby?
Scully's baby gets taken in like
That's right.
a long time
then,
before the show ends.
That's right. But the new show, now you're like,
No,
oh,
I don't care about the new show.
no.
Let's pretend the new show didn't
Fine,
happen.
fine. The
Just
baby gets
ignore
taken.
the existence.
No answers are given. No, you can't even test the baby for alien DNA. Nothing. They found so many hints, so many clues, so many things, so many spaceships. Even, especially if you even watch the old movies.
How do they know that they didn't just roofie Moldy and Scully and they fucked?
There's like three. There was 3 separate.
I know they addressed this
story.
issue.
No. There's 3 separate storylines where they suggested that the memories were implanted, that it was just them getting drunk and fucking, that it was just brainwashing, that they thought they saw aliens. That this is the whole point. The show played with you the entire time.
Yeah, that. But you know, yeah. Oh, that was a good show. But what made it so good was like the chemistry and the bond between Moldy and Scully. Like, and I loved
Moldy and Scully?
Moldy and Scully. That's just small. I need to create an in a thing.
Anagram.
Yeah. Like I still can't get over 13 and 4
I know,
minutes,
I know.
14. Anyway, okay, so Scully and Mulder, they like the fact that their bond is so strong, but you still and you don't know whether they've crossed that line.
That was the best part until the movies or the new series.
Right? Can stop talking about the new.
But this is how they ruin it. This is exactly how they ruin it. They almost had a perfect platonic relationship throughout the entire show.
But it's not that they had just a platonic relationship. The relationship was like so intense that like,
Yes,
and this is why I'm saying the sex is not everything in relationships.
Okay.
And that was just such like a good strong partnership.
But I will fight you on it and say sex was an intricate part of that relationship because they wanted to bone, which drove them that much closer to more.
You think they want? Why didn't they then?
They did. They did. That's the fucking kid.
But you don't know.
That's
No,
right.
the idea is
That's
that
the only-
they didn't. They
that's
might
the
have
only
not.
problem. That's the only problem. Now you don't know.
Right, but like if
But the fact that the new season starts with him literally sleeping in the same bed as her, assuming it's his kid, even if he adopted it, you didn't know
we
it was
we
him.
know it's Mulder's kid the whole time.
No,
But
we
the
don't.
idea is that he was injected. No, we do, and I remember which episode it was.
Okay.
It's always revealed that it's both of their child, but
Yes.
it was that she was kidnapped and either aliens or by the government. We don't know which one. And was taken. Now, whether the impregnation was a result
Yeah,
of that.
You're getting sidetracked. We weren't talking about the alien impregnation. We're literally talking about the fact that the sexual tension and sexual chemistry between the two people drove them towards each other. It's such a strong pull.
Then why don't
that-
they actually have sex in the whole 10 years of that show? We don't actually ever see them have sex, and there's no
Why do we need
concrete.
to see them have sex?
But because
You,
that's
you
huge
were
for the
just saying
character.
how awesome it was, how they had this whole bond.
But
and
you're
they-
assuming
everything-
that they were having sex.
No, I'm assuming they had a sexual attraction, which is the point. Which is my point towards friends and sexual encounters.
But wouldn't have
Is-
acting on the sexual attraction ruin what they had?
Yes, it would.
So
Hence why they can't be friends.
but they could still be
But they
partners.
didn't end up being friends. They ended up much more than friends.
Because that was because no other person could ever understand each other's stories because of their common experience.
That's a cop out, and
You
sure,
can have
sure.
sex with anybody. You can't like go through this phenomenon of 10-year partnership and mystery and experience with just anybody.
Sure, you can, as long as you're handcuffed to them by a bunch of writers in Hollywood.
Okay. So you're predicting that Westworld's gonna end, and
No,
you think
I'm predicting
that,
Westworld's gonna suck.
and you think Game of Thrones is also gonna end up with disappointing, even though what could possibly be the end?
What's left? What's left of Game of Thrones, except for a lot of bloodshed, a lot of war, zombie fights, zombie dragon fights, and then
But that's all we've been waiting for in the past like 7 years. Game of Thrones doesn't have an overall mystery either.
If I want to watch a zombie fight show, I'll just watch what's it called, Walking Dead. I wanted
they
the
introduced
atmosphere.
the White Walkers in the first
I
episode.
wanted to watch an intensively interesting show. I don't know what I'm getting out of it, but all I'm getting by the end of the show, there is the way the show started with creative, interesting writing and like a little bit of twists and turns. And now, what is it now? It's literally armies fighting armies every episode.
But that's what it's been
It's
building up to.
armies fighting armies every episode. I don't care. I almost don't care anymore. It's literally incessant armies fighting armies.
That's always been the show.
No, it hasn't.
Yeah, it has.
No, it hasn't.
The whole show is called Game
We
of
had
Thrones.
8 seasons of even a few seasons before that. It's still the political struggle between the stupid church and Cersei. It is still just
That was in like season 6. So that was armies not fighting armies. That was
Sure.
an internal side plot
sure,
line actually.
sure. There was a lot of betrayal. There's a lot of different stuff.
Yeah, that's been the show though.
Okay, but there's not going to be fun if the entire show is nothing but army battling.
But like
That
even
takes
the
away
army,
from the characters. We learned about the characters. We loved the characters. We followed the characters. People have their own characters to root for. But now they left us. So the only characters you wanted to root for, again, I've pointed this out before, is a white blonde-haired lady leading all the Arabs, the Sand people, just leading all the black people and the Sand people. I find it interesting that like she found the dickless black people to lead, and then Sand people that are afraid of water. So I don't know what's happening
That's
there.
where she's been going throughout episode 1. That's been her story since the fucking first episode.
Okay. Not saying it's not her story since the first episode. I'm also
The whole idea of the show is to build up to these things, and also that
to
fight
what things? You know, let me
to
finish.
the Game of Thrones.
It's not the game. It's not a Game of Thrones anymore. It's now just war. Like any one of these people could have hired an assassin to sneak in the back and stab somebody in the throat, which Cersei did several times.
Okay, the White Walkers. Where do you think the show is that not needing to lead to an ultimate showdown since it's been introduced in episode 1, season 1?
An ultimate showdown?
Is that how would you like this White Walker story to have been better completed?
It's not completed. I don't know how it can be better completed if it's not completed.
What
All
are you
I know-
unhappy with now in specifically the White Walker story of the North storyline? Where could that have how could
I'm
that
not
have
unhappy with anything. I know it's going to suck in the future because they're going to make it suck. I'm not saying it sucks now. I'm saying it's just what? We had the resurrection of Jon Snow. We had Jon Snow fucking his sister. We had
that was given. That was all we all knew it was going to happen.
That may have been given to you. That wasn't given to me.
No, that seems forced. Their relationship and them
The
being
relationship
into
was
each
garbage.
other.
The last, them building a relationship over the last season was none. It was non-existent. It was like everyone else talking about how they're gonna get together and them being like, eh.
I'll tell you the last season. The only thing that I really liked the last season was the conclusion of Littlefinger's storyline.
How about the fact that they kept jumping in time? Like every episode is like a year later.
Yeah, now they seem to be rushing, and I don't know why. Like they've been taking their time.
Because it's gonna suck. Because it's gonna be garbage. They
execution.
They already split the last season into 2 seasons and then made every episode like an hour and a half long or 2 hours long or some bullshit like that. And they're like, "Yo, we're gonna make like every last few episodes like a movie and make it epic." I'm like, I don't give a shit now. And now I just literally don't give a shit. We already know who's gonna ride what dragon. We already know that Tyrion isn't gonna ride the dragon. We already know it's gonna be garbage. They're just gonna stick people on dragons and have giant dragon
Okay,
fights.
that was still pretty cool. The fight with the White Walkers. Come on, like that was.
No, that's not how you fight White Walkers. You set them on fire and that's it. You have a giant dragon. You set them on fire and you kill them. What are you
So
flying
that
around for?
special, yeah, I guess that whole special weapon that they surprisingly came out with out of nowhere. Like all of these years, they've had like, or no, the special weapon for the dragons. Like all of these years, they've been denying the existence of dragons, and now suddenly we know there's dragons, and there's just this special weapon that can take one down. So
All of a
that.
sudden, Cersei has a dragon. What's it called? Not catapult. Shit, ballista.
But
All of a sudden, no. Like the development of siege weapons within that world is retarded because if that world they created around Game of Thrones doesn't have siege weapons, it's ridiculously stupid. And I'm sorry for those of you that aren't into medieval history or whatever. Ballistas and catapults are two of the most fundamental weapons we've been using since way before the Bronze Age. It's a giant catapult that throws giant rocks, and it's a giant bow that shoots giant trees. Like, those are the two fundamental things. Now, all of a sudden, someone made one up just to fight dragons? That's not how you do it.
Right, but even it was the White Walker that takes down the dragon. Like I'm just saying specifically in the White Walker and the North storyline, like this is where it was building up to. Like I can't see how it could have gone any or it should be going any differently. Maybe the execution in the later
It was rushed to Jon Snow to run over there. It was rushed for them to need to capture one. It was rushed for them not to believe her. It
that's
was
true.
rushed for her to go take all three dragons to fight some random bullshit. It just rushed. It's just an entire rushed piece of shit.
Yeah, especially I get that because especially because what was good about the show is that it was taking its time to build these intricate like character and plot points.
Like, how long did it take them to kill what's his face, the father in season 1?
Tyrion? I mean, not what's his name? Fuck.
Exactly.
Tywin. The Lannister father?
No.
Oh, Ned Stark.
Ned
that was
Stark.
end of last season.
That was the end of
And
the,
that was
the first
awesome.
season. It built up. And like if it was happening today, it would have been like the second episode. It would have been like, oh, here you showed up, chop head off.
No, I mean everything up until pretty much. Honestly, I think the episode where you see that one episode of Jon Snow leading the army against Ramsay's army.
Mm-hmm. The Battle of the Bastards.
That like the execution, like just visually, of that fight and the way that they filmed it with him being under those bodies and just all of it was incredible.
Sure.
I think that was the last good episode though. Like really like good episode. I was really disappointed with how they concluded the Ramsay storyline. I was just really not happy with the Sansa Ramsay storyline, and it's not because they like the victim feminine. It just didn't make
the Arya storyline? What is happening there? What is she becoming a super assassin for? At this point, she might as well just like go kill Cersei. She might as well just go kill everyone at this point. It doesn't even matter. She's like teleporting.
I just think
turning into random people and just stabbing anyone she wants to.
All of the Stark kids, the progression of their storyline seems underwhelming now. Like I don't.
Sure, one has become a god creature that can see everything, and just so happens to.
I didn't like that plot point at all.
Jon Snow cannot die anymore. He just doesn't die. Apparently, the Lord of Light wants him to live forever, so he just can't die. Sansa is a teleporting super assassin that can shapeshift into anyone.
Arya.
Sorry, Arya is a super assassin that can shapeshift and turn anyone stabby.
And Sansa's
Apparently,
like what?
she can deflect giant broadswords with a tiny fucking needle. That also doesn't make any goddamn sense. Sansa is now ruler of like a bunch of armies because she just took power like everywhere. Of course, with the help of Arya, killing or whatever.
Well, I like
Littlefinger.
that. That because Littlefinger was like the character.
Yes. You're always supposed to You're always supposed to find that enjoyment in watching the murder of people in that show, and that's what they do.
Not the murder of everybody, just certain people.
Everybody.
Well, all the bad guys. Joffrey's murder was satisfying, but Ned Stark's was disappointing. Okay.
There was
the
like
Red Wedding. Do you remember?
There was two deaths that you gave a fuck about. 2.
3.
Okay, fine. Who are the 3?
Ned Stark
1.
was a shock. The Red Wedding.
Okay, that's 2.
And I forget his name, but with the guy who
Bisexual,
fought the
yeah.
who fought the
I don't know
mountain.
why. I don't know why people were so.
Oh my god, that
I
was
do-
such a fucking good
I
episode.
don't know why people really liked him. I literally didn't care.
I loved
I'm pretty
him.
sure he was having sex with his sister too.
He was having sex with everybody, but his character was just good. It was
Doesn't
just
matter. Doesn't
enjoy.
matter. Didn't connect with him. Didn't care.
I did.
I maybe for some reason was happy that he got his head crushed.
No, that was that.
He was being a cocky piece of shit. I hate cocky pieces of shit.
Yeah. I don't know. But I'm saying those were the three. Like, what the fuck? Everyone was in shock. Like, holy shit, what just happened? Like,
why would the mountain ever lose? And they
I don't know. They execution.
They didn't even kill the mountain. They turned them into Zombie Mountain.
Yeah, that was dumb.
And now nobody can kill the mountain. So we have Zombie Mountain and fucking undiable Jon Snow.
Also, one of the things that's been frustrating me is, and I think you addressed this, but I still have a difficulty. How is the kingdom legitimately accepting Cersei's power?
What kingdom?
Like, why are people following her? Like, Jamie, everybody is against her. She has no one.
Jamie's not against her.
Yeah, he is.
It's not. Also, power. That's how power was dealt. That's
but, like,
how it ruled.
just because they just listen to her, like,
Without,
there's no
without
reason
rules,
for her.
without rules, we're nothing but wildlings. Without the rules of society, without the rules of law, without the rules of taxation and power and armies, we are nothing but wildlings running around in empty fields, slaughtering people. If you don't abide by the rules, then you are a lawless society.
But what rule
so
would
don't...
make her the leader? She has no valid...
She is what? She's the princess. She's the literal princess. Her husband... No, sorry, she's the queen. She's fucking queen. What are you talking about?
No, but...
Her husband was king. Her husband died. She became queen. Power got passed on to
her son.
To her son.
Never
her son
her,
died.
though.
Her
then
son
her
died.
next son died.
She maintains power.
Then the queen died.
That doesn't mean the queen doesn't maintain power. Doesn't mean that the queen doesn't have any power. Just because you're king doesn't mean the rest of your family doesn't have any power. It's not like Prince George. What's his name?
Well, I guess Queen Elizabeth. You mean?
Queen,
yeah.
The queen can still be alive, but that doesn't mean her fucking kids don't have power.
Okay.
Like, she'll eventually pass it on to the kid, right? Make him king.
Ugh, and the fucking her being pregnant. Oh my god, I hate fucking that. That was the dumbest thing ever.
No idea what you're talking about.
In the last season, now that's how she gets Jamie to do what she wants. You're right. Jamie doesn't end up going against her because suddenly she has a baby in her, and now like after
who knows what kind of
murdering,
zombie baby she has. Anyway, point is that show's getting really dumb now. It's officially getting dumb. I don't like it when I start having to root for pedophilia? No, pedophilia. Incest. Incest. I don't like having to root for incest.
Well, it's aunts and
no.
It's not like brother.
No,
it's not.
no.
But incest was introduced in the first episode.
Yeah, and we weren't on their side either. It's weird.
Until
it's weird.
we did.
Because
until we became you liked Jamie. You liked Jamie at some
I
point.
liked
His character.
Jamie. I didn't. Okay. I could appreciate that Jamie wasn't a piece of shit, but I kept saying throughout the entire thing, just never forget he fucked his sister, and then he raped his sister. She kept going, no, as he raped her on top of his dead son's body.
Yeah, that was. So you think that was rape? I guess no woman seems to care because all of us hate Cersei.
That's
so
right,
maybe
because
why?
all of you actually want to have sex with your brother on top of your dead child.
No, but she was willingly having sex with him before. But I'm just wondering if that episode.
Okay, are we gonna call into question the legitimacy of sexual consent over when it comes to two people who've long consented to a relationship between each other?
No, so I guess she was clearly not consenting to it during the time.
And then she didn't seem to feel bad about it afterwards.
Yeah, but some
In
people
fact,
thought
she didn't even want him away from her. She wanted him closer to her than ever.
Yeah. So then was that rape then?
That depends on what your definition of rape is.
Well, she was clearly saying no.
Uh-huh.
Whereas in Sansa, it was her wedding night and she was crying, but she wasn't articulating no.
She was not. So maybe George R.R. Martin is really just trying to play with our heads, trying to make us distinguish what is rape and what isn't. But at the same time, trying to accept that cousins could marry and maybe have sex.
Like in that episode, and I remember that episode still made me uncomfortable, but because you like Jamie and you
still
don't like.
still not as uncomfortable as that Blade Runner scene.
That's
Blade-
pretty fucked up. Did you see my message? And
I saw
yeah,
your message.
apparently
Yes.
other people have also disliked the Blade Runner movie.
That's
So
fine.
I'm not alone. We're not alone.
We're not alone.
Just saying. Okay, in that episode, like, you can, because she's like, she articulates that our son is dead. She was clearly upset about that. She clearly like didn't want it, but because you like Jamie and you don't like Cersei, it didn't feel that bad. Although people said, like in the internet, the feminists were still crying about it. So technically,
Oh, the feminists are going to cry about any kind of
Right.
sex.
but with Sansa, it was her wedding night. You don't actually see her say no, but she's crying and all of that stuff. And we know Ramsay and we hate Ramsay and not Sansa. That seems more like rape, even though technically by definition,
Do I hate Ramsay though?
Ramsay's if you hate Joffrey, you should hate Ramsay.
No.
Because Ramsay is more sociopathic than Joffrey.
How?
Like, Joffrey is like an outcast narcissist, reacts.
Okay. I watched Joffrey shoot a prostitute with a crossbow for the fun of it.
Right, he's also a psychopath, but not manipulative.
I saw, what's his name?
Ramsay likes the game, torture.
Ramsay literally takes his enemies and tortures them. But those are his enemies. And since when can you not torture and play and abuse your enemies?
He tortures everybody.
His enemies.
Why is he torture Sansa then?
Because she's literally his enemy.
Why? She's his wife.
She is only his wife because of contractual obligation from his enemy. She is a gift given to him by his enemy to create peace. He knows that she is not in love with him. She doesn't care about him. She's given to him as a peace offering. And at the same time, knowing that she doesn't give a fuck about him either.
He doesn't give a fuck about anybody.
And also, that happened after she stepped up against him and she tried to fucking overthrow him.
No, they imply that like since the night they get married, he starts beating and torturing her.
No, it's not what they insist.
They do.
Sure.
That's what is implied. That and makes Theon.
I never
watch,
got that. I never
and
got
in
that
the
implication.
book,
I never
and in
got
the
that
book,
implication. I
that's
don't
not,
care about the book. I'm not reading
fine.
the book.
And I was.
If I was reading the book, I'll talk about the book. There's an entire book club surrounding.
Okay, but explain to Joffrey is like a child, like a psychopath, but also a child type temper tantrum psychopath. Ramsay is like enjoys the game, manipulation, torture type of psychopath. Like there's quite a, I don't know. I just feel like the psychopathy of Ramsay was worse.
Do you think there's a difference?
Yeah.
Why?
Because the one that like emotionally and physically is calculated and manipulates and tortures you, as opposed to the one
is also
who's
like
just a
one,
reactionary
and
having
one
an
is also
outfit.
20 years older than the other, who is grown up within war and within literally a culture that skins people alive for fun. That's literally their flag. He was raised by people that skin people alive for fun.
I still don't understand why he tortured Theon. I have that whole plot line.
Theon was coming to overthrow him.
Was he?
Yeah. He was also willing to escape and also trying to take him, and he was sent there to kill him.
No, there was a history behind it. Like their families, there's a
Yes,
whole
they were
thing.
fighting. The families were always fighting.
Was just interesting because you also hate Theon in the first few seasons, like all of the shit he does to the Starks.
Yeah, probably still kill him.
So you think Theon deserved what he got?
Maybe more, maybe less.
Maybe more.
Maybe less.
So Joffrey's is more dangerous to you than
Joffrey
Ramsay.
is an immature sociopath who's gotten whatever the hell he wants and now has become the most powerful person on the planet. Joffrey isn't necessarily all that much of a sociopath because he's just
You
a
mean
spoiled...
Ramsay?
No, I specifically said Joffrey.
Okay.
He's literally just became king of the known world all of a sudden out of nowhere. Got one of the hottest girls handed to him and said, do whatever you want. After, neglect and abuse and brainwashing by his mother. I don't know. What's he got? So now he can shoot.
So he's like a made
So now
psychopath
he can
too.
shoot crossbow bolts into prostitutes for fun. He doesn't know what to do with his power. He's also immature. How old is he supposed to be? Like 13?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he doesn't fucking have any idea what the hell's happening. When the other one was also
Well,
bred in a
Ramsey's
society.
younger and is supposed to be like a little bit older, like 16.
Okay, 16 within a society of people that literally skin people alive for fun.
So is Joffrey.
For fun. No, he's not. No, he's not. I'm telling you. I'm literally distinguishing. Joffrey is a spoiled little brat little bitch who's been grown up with fucking silk sheets and fucking lavender fucking thrown all over him all the time. He's been pampered his entire goddamn
so is
life.
Ramsey. Actually,
No,
no,
he
his
hasn't.
father hates him and says he's not legitimate.
And he
constantly trying to
grows
prove
up
himself.
in a society that skins people for fun.
How is the Lannisters not a society that skins people for fun?
Because the Lannisters have laws and money, and they take over things financially.
So you think the Lannisters are legit?
They are.
So
They're
the
100%
ones that are
legit.
made villains in the show, because the Lannisters are deemed as the villains of the show.
The Lannisters are deemed as villains in the show the moment they take an honest man who honestly came to them for honest reasons and behead him for political reasons.
But that was Joffrey.
No-
They weren't going to do that. Joffrey reacted. Cersei wanted to make the
No,
deal.
no,
he was
no,
going to go to
no,
the wall.
No.
No.
Now you're making shit up.
Cersei
Now-
made
no,
the deal.
shh,
No.
shh,
That's
shh,
what
shh,
happened.
shh, shh.
I'm telling you, that's
Whether
what
we
happened.
find out about Littlefinger, he set the whole thing up.
But you don't know if
We
she
know-
does. Cersei was not behind that. Littlefinger is behind that. And
Okay, but
Littlefinger
we didn't
just
say
manipulates everybody.
Cersei and everyone else in that family went along with it and just let it happen. At any given time, the head of the family could have stepped in and said something.
Okay.
Because why didn't any of the people in the family step up and say anything? In
They
fact,
did.
Jamie took him out in the courtyard and toyed with him like a cat playing with a toy. Remember?
Right.
When he kept cutting him and stabbing him for fun?
Yes, I remember that. And this is what happens. The idea is that Ned Stark is supposed to go up, admit that he was wrong, and go to the wall. That's the deal that he makes
Yes.
with Cersei. Then Sansa goes to Joffrey begging. Joffrey decides to behead. It was Cersei, Tyrion, Tywin, all of them. The deal was that Ned Stark was supposed to go to the
Yes.
wall.
And the moment they took an honest man and beheaded him instead.
But they didn't. Joffrey
inste-
did. They had agreed for him to go to the wall.
Are you not listening now? Are you just talking over me?
So wait,
I
are
just
you
said,
saying by defending Joffrey?
They didn't defend him. Any one of them could have stepped up and told Joffrey to chill.
Oh, like at that moment.
At any moment.
He
at
was
any moment.
king.
That doesn't matter.
Cersei wanted him to be
Cersei
king.
doesn't give a shit that he's king. Cersei gives a fuck about her own power. They give a fuck about appearances. They give a fuck about the way they look. They give a fuck about their legitimacy of their power. Their power has always been legitimate. The moment they become illegitimate is the moment there's an entire uprising around Ned Stark's death.
The idea is that their power. Although, yeah, you're right, because Cersei never actually did the messing up the legitimacy of their power. Littlefinger did.
Yes. The fact that none of them stepped in, everyone went, what the fuck? We all know this guy. We know he's legit. We know he ran the fucking north. We know he came in. We know he was going to apologize. We know he was going to do everything. They decided to behead him, even though he followed every rule in the book. Fuck them. These people cannot lead us.
Okay, so you're not pro Lannisters.
Why would I be pro Lannister?
Not even Tyrion?
Why would I be pro Lannister?
So how do you feel about Tyrion teaming up with Daenerys?
He's not going to be king.
But did that not seem like it made sense to you for the progression of that character?
No, that made sense for, what do you call it? Fan?
Service?
Yeah, fan service. He probably should have been killed off right when he was going to be killed off instead of him killing his father. He should have just...
he actually should, I think, goes into slavery for a longer time.
Sure. But he probably should have either been killed off or something, but he should not have joined up with, what's her name? Daenerys. Or whatever her name is. There's no reason for him to kill his father, escape, and Jamie letting him go. None of that is like legitimate storytelling. None of that is now within the character basis. None of that was with anything. You could have just left. You could have just left to keep. He didn't have to kill his father. He didn't have to confront Jamie. None of it.
So I think I'm kind of touching. I think I'm having like a little mini epiphany on something then. I think what made Game of Thrones good in the first few seasons was the idea that not everything's connected. This is human nature. This is the reality. The hero's gonna die no matter, like, there's no guarantees. And once they started actually coming up with like this mystical, everything has a meaning, there's a prophecy, everyone's supposed to be, that actually lost the coreness and the rawness of what made it.
Yeah.
Where, yeah, it was like, yeah, the hero's gonna die, people die, bad guys
Well,
win sometimes, bad guys lose sometimes. Like, they
why?
equivalently, as much as they torture the hero, they also, none of the bad guys actually end up getting, like, nobody gets what they want. And that's what seems to be like what made the show good. It's about like the struggle and continuing despite it. Please give me my beer back. We can keep going. I can get another beer.
We're almost done. It's 15 minutes in. I have like 10 minutes. No, it's literally a show that built itself off of the random aspect where anyone can die at any given time. There is no holds bars, and any character is deathable. Everyone is killable. But the moment I found out that there's an entire prophecy that the entire show is following, and now characters are unkillable, why do I care?
But the element of magic was introduced to the show.
Not element of magic. That there's a legitimate prophecy of Jon Snow getting together with what's her face, the Queen of Dragons, and overthrowing everyone with the new reign that will cause peace and tranquility throughout the land.
No.
Is the moment I stopped giving a shit.
It was
because
just
now,
the White Walker storyline.
because now Jon Snow is literally unkillable, and the only way they can get season 2 or the next 2 seasons back, my attention back, is if they kill one of them or both of them. They have to kill them. They literally have to kill either Jon Snow or somebody else permanently for me to start giving a shit again. Otherwise, I know Jon Snow's not killable, and I know Daenerys is not killable. And if they're both not killable, who's going to do what?
I mean, there's gonna be like they're gonna kill another fan favorite. They have to. I don't know who it's gonna be.
Who cares? Who cares? It doesn't matter. Now all the other characters are just peripheral characters to Jon Snow and Daenerys. What's her name?
I don't know. It's hard. No. I mean, it's hard because you as a, like, this is the thing, and I think this is what's frustrating for creators and watchers, because there's this middle ground where at the same time you want a show to be realistic or a story to be realistic, but then at the same time the reason you're watching a story is to suspend disbelief. And so, like, for me, for example, but although it depends on how realistic it is, but like for another show, for example, you know that I've been watching Grey's Anatomy. When they kill off the characters, it's actually hard for me to stay interested because I've been invested in those characters. Now, given how they kill off the character, and with Ned Stark, it's interesting because they kill off Ned Stark, but do they really? Because throughout the rest of the season and the show and in the book especially, his death is the, like...
Yes, to just explain, it literally sets up this premise that his death is the launch of a brand new world.
Right. And so the idea of dying in the story, and whether you are, like, he dies and you're angry about it, but they make his death worthwhile in a way. Okay. Whereas I think in other shows, they don't necessarily do that. Like, for example, in Grey's Anatomy, like, they die and then next season these characters are just forgotten. Like, they've had no influence. They're just killed off to get rid of. And so that's what I'm saying, like, how the execution is key in these stories, because you have, like people can tell when you're removing a character because the contract ran out on the show, kind of thing, or whatever. Like, it just needs to fit. And I don't know, maybe with Game of Thrones that's been shifting too now. Like, now it seems like it's they're being corporate about it. They're being, like, fan servicing and formulaic, and I don't know. Yeah, doing what every other show does.
Well, it's literally a TV show that's run by HBO that has a contract that they're dragging out. And I know now they're dragging out their contract for the money.
But there's still so much. They're rushing it, actually.
They are rushing it. We already pre-established that they're rushing the shit out of it, and they're not doing anything with it either. They're just kind of throwing shit at you until you're happy.
They're fan servicing now.
Yeah. and everyone already guessed what the plot point is going to be.
A long time ago, yeah. So now but then again, like, how do you win in that situation? Either they give people what they want or they don't. That was what
Well,
made
how about you
sense.
make a storyline and you stick to it? Oh wait, they didn't bother for the writer to finish the story before they decide to film it. So now all they have is literally what he set up as the final finale, and then nothing else. So now they're just bullshitting it all the way through.
So you're saying even if the finale was legit,
The finale probably will be legit with Daenerys, or what is her name? Mother of Dragons, Khaleesi?
yeah, no,
Khaleesi
Daenerys
and
is
Jon,
her real name.
whatever.
Yeah.
Khaleesi and Jon Snow at the top of the Iron Throne with 2 dragons and more dragons and magic coming back to the land and everyone living happily ever after.
What if that's not what happened?
I don't know. I'll watch the show and I'll figure it out.
Okay, well, I guess we'll just have
Like,
to see what happens.
The whole point is that it was the dance of fire and snow or whatever.
The
and
Song
then,
of Ice and Fire.
whatever. I like dancing snow better than ice and fire.
Okay, wrap up. You're clearly done with this conversation.
I'm not done with this conversation. I am just saying that, like, I'm out of beer. That's the problem. The beer keeps me fueled and keeps me going. The show was good until they started hurrying their ass along all the way through. This is apparently our Game of Thrones episode. I would like to also conclude with fuck Hollywood all the way.
Yeah, the Oscars. I was watching Crowder doing the Oscars. It was just bullshit. Me Too, feminism, Time's Up, women who have won awards in the past, even though the Best Actress award has existed since the inception of the Oscars. But somehow acknowledging women in the Oscars is real important.
Yes, because again, actor and actress, best actor and best actress.
Well, no, soon it'll be.
I don't care.
something else.
I literally don't care. I want out of the society. This is guys, help me. I want out.
Hence,
I want out.
let's go to the island.
I want to go fund a society of my own. I want to go fund the society of my own where I can just live happily amongst other like-minded people, where patriarchy cannot run amok because patriarchy will be a given biological fact, and we can all just live together happily, understanding that some people like to clean and some people like to cook. And some people think they want to... Never mind. I haven't finished that analogy. My mind's already going some other weird place. Other notable mentions for this week. Apparently Sargon's fucking channel got ripped off, and his Google account was destroyed, was removed, was purged, which means every single one of his channels is gone, which means his Gmail email address is gone and everything attached to it. Gone.
Well, everyone was going against him anyways in his liberalist movement.
Apparently, what's her name? Millennial Woes or something? Got onto a bigger network. A bunch of people.
Millennial?
Yeah, roaming millennial got into a different. Who
Got
did
on
she get on?
CRTV.
Yeah,
Or
CRTV.
she's been on CRTV for a while. She's with the same network that Crowder is. They still have their YouTube channels, but they're also part of CRTV's network.
Well, look, Paul Joseph Watson, who joined Alex Jones's network.
I don't know if he's still there though. Although I think he still is.
He's
yeah.
absolutely still there. We're part of Infowars. I think we're gonna see a lot more of that since YouTube is literally cracking down on its censorship, and the rest of us need a way to survive. So, I will once again point out that I want to start a network, or I've already started a network. I have a couple of people working with us to do stuff, but again, we're incredibly small, and it really doesn't. We don't matter worth a shit. What matters is though that one German guy who suggested that people start a union. And that's a really interesting...
Well, I just think that all of this is a way to discourage people like us from having opinions, creating content, contributing to society, and corporations control our media. Like, literally, that's what YouTube is trying to do, get major networks. I will say, though, that there is a little bit of... and, like, this has been a conversation, I guess, that's happening in the skeptic community, but within, like, Crowder and Rubin and Joe Rogan, and it is becoming a little bit of a circle jerk, like, and Lauren Southern and just all of these people where they're just having each other on each other's shows over and over again, and people get bored. Like, people want
New blood, new
Yeah.
people, new faces, new
And
opinions, new gives a
they're
fuck.
they're stopping that. And like, and see, that's, I worry, because like, what if that's what happens to any of us, right? Like, we're new until we get repetitive. Like, how many times will, in the fantasy world of us being on Joe Rogan, how many times can we go on without being repetitive? But like, literally, Peterson's on like once a month now.
Okay. Peterson is on once a month. That's good for fucking Peterson. But are you not working on your own school stuff? Are you not going to have new research you do, or any research that you
Yeah, of
do? Are you not going to
course.
want to talk about it? Are we not going to want to talk about the website that we're trying to develop? Are we not going to talk about the t-shirts we're going
But
to have in
I
production
also, like,
soon?
I'm a communist in heart, and I believe in collaboration.
Communist at
I
heart?
want to
A
work with.
collectivist at best. Please don't.
Okay, fine,
Don't
collectivist.
don't like. Oh my god! You just like just
You can
shat
edit
on
that out.
shat on the goddamn name of Silerious
Okay,
everything else
edit
by
it
saying that
out.
you're a communist at
I
heart.
don't mean
That is
con-
disgusting.
That was
and I
a
reject
Freudian
it.
slip.
Freudian slip is not even worse. That's even worse. That's even fucking worse.
Okay.
You could say that you oh my god.
I believe
what
in
have I done?
collaboration, and I want to work with other people. I don't think humans.
Collectivist, you mean?
Fine, a collectivist.
Okay, well,
we can't do
it's
things.
very different than communist.
We can't do things on our own. We need other people. We need a group. We need a partnership. We need a, I don't know, like what society and humans have needed: a family, a community. God forbid you say that word.
No. Okay.
People who bond together and support each other in life and in endeavors, especially when they have
You
similar
can
goals.
only fight collectivism collectively. You can't fight it individually. Fighting individually is really, literally the worst thing you could do. That's why the saying has always been. What's the saying? Remember the saying?
I don't know, but it's the end of the beer and
Okay.
it's
The
bitter.
saying is that divided we fall and united. What is it? United we stand, divided we fall?
Or something.
No, it's not or something. It's probably that. And there's a reason for it. It's because you cannot be an individual fighting for your individuality in a sea of collectivism.
Right.
You cannot be surrounded by collectivists all yelling about the same thing, but you and like 40 other people yelling about your own shit. You have to come together and you have to agree. These are the terms that we are willing to stand together
as a
for.
collective, you have to protect
For.
the individual, because the ultimate minority will always be the individual. And as a collective, we need to come together to protect the individual. Even the stupid ones, even the dumb ones, even the ones that piss you off.
I'm willing to protect their rights.
Yeah.
But when their rights are being used to take away my rights, we have an issue.
Okay, which is why we fight.
Well, I hope that's why we fight. Apparently, we're doing it for communism.
That's not okay. You can edit that out.
I literally can't edit it out. It's now been permanently embedded in here, and everyone will use it against you.
Okay. Well, I believe that people coming together is not the end of the world.
Communism is not people coming together. Communism is literally that thing 100 million people died for just in Russia alone.
Well, I guess then maybe that's the root of the issue, is the way that communism has been framed in society, where you think that people sharing and spreading, and that's what I have been brainwashed to believe.
My God.
That it
Okay,
means
guys,
that
I have
people working together.
A lot of work to do now. I'm trying to figure
No,
out
I
how
understand. It was a flaw. I just want to find a fucking middle ground between the two worlds, where there is a middle ground where you are an individual, but you are also part of a collective, and you still care about what the collective does. Like, there has to be a middle somewhere, somehow. There just has to.
We'll find it. We will find it. And if you guys want, come join the Discord and partake in conversations. Although it's mostly porn and memes
Video
and
games.
trolling. No. Okay. The video games is absolutely my own personal endeavor on the Loki 3K channel. Go check it out if you guys give a shit. I try to live stream as much as I can. I have a new endeavor. I'm going to try and get some review keys, I guess. I don't know if they're just giving the games away for free or if I get a temporary license to play games. But I'm going to try doing video game reviews off on the side, because that's apparently doing better than my current channel, which is losing subscribers quite fast. That's
Okay,
really weird.
good night.
Good night, guys. Thanks for sticking around. Thanks for drinking that beer with us. Thanks for being here. Bye.